Hello, welcome to the Mediocre Takes podcast, the podcast where we share our mediocre takes on the shows and movies we watch. I'm Marco and I'm here with my co-host Mel. How are you doing, Mel?
I've started reading lesbian erotica.
Really?
Yeah, listen, I am a very, to my bones, I am a very judgmental person, which is why I have never read erotica. But, first of all, happy Pride!
Yeah.
In honor of Pride, I was like, sure, why not? And you know what? Not that bad at all. I have some recommendations if you're interested,
Okay.
Marco.
I'd be interested in reading some, I guess.
No, you wouldn't. No, Marco, genuinely, you wouldn't be interested in what I've read.
Really?
I really don't think you would.
Okay. So this month is Pride Month, so we're going to be doing a bunch of queer films and TV shows. So I'll say this, I'm going to try to post every episode in Pride Month and during Pride Month, but if I don't, I'm sorry. I've been really lazy recently. I plan on uploading 6 episodes this month, so I've already posted the first episode, which is Bloom Into You Part 1. Bloom Into You Part 2 will be coming soon, and then next up we'll be doing First Kill or maybe Saving Face. It really just depends. Speaking of which, today we're going to be talking about First Kill. First Kill is a vampire lesbian TV show. It's about a vampire hunter and a vampire and them falling in love. And yeah, so let's just get into it. This episode starts off with one of our main characters, Juliet, waking up from having a bad dream. Juliet's parents mention refilling Juliet's medication. Juliet's friend, Ben, drives her to school. We learn that they used to date before they both realized they were gay. Ben mentions a party she wants Juliet to go to, but Juliet doesn't really want to go to it. Ben catches Juliet looking at a girl she has a crush on. Juliet accidentally crashes into Cal, her love interest, and the girl that she has a crush on, and asks Cal to go on to the party with her. Then during class, Juliet has another migraine. Juliet goes to the locker and finds Cal's bracelet. She tries to pick it up, but when she does, her hand ends up burning a bit. We learn that Juliet is a vampire. We cut back to home where Juliet's parents scold her for not being honest about her migraines and night terrors. Juliet's sister and her parents try to convince Juliet to take her first kill because in order to not have these migraines, she needs to drain someone. We cut to the party. Juliet is hanging out with Ben, but then Ben abandons her. Juliet sees Cal. They play spin the bottle, and Juliet and Cal are the people who get chosen. They take a drink and go to a secluded room. Juliet kisses Cal. They make out. Juliet goes feral and fights Cal. Then we get the entire story of what happened so far from Cal's point of view. We learn that according to Cal, the worst monsters look human. Cal's brothers, Theo and Apollo, I think, have a mission since they heard there are monsters near a graveyard. We learn that Cal's brothers got their first kills when they were around 12 and 14, but when Cal tried to get her first kill, she failed, so tonight she's the lookout. She's doing her job when suddenly she notices that there's a third ghoul. She tries to fight it back, but her brothers have to save her. We cut back to Cal and the brothers at home, where they're having a nice family meal. We get a call from Cal's ex-girlfriend turned friend, who has finally got her first kill. We get a flashback to when Cal got to school that day, and we learn that she purposely left the necklace behind to see if it would hurt Juliet. We also see that after Juliet bites Cal, Cal stakes Juliet, and that's the end of the episode. So I saw someone say that they didn't like the fact that we get to see both perspectives on the first episode, but I personally thought it was just okay. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. This gives me CW vibes, and not in a good way. It's giving Riverdale.
Wow.
But
That's a pretty offensive thing to say. Riverdale?
Yeah.
Riverdale? The one with incest and the age gap?
Wait,
Riverdale?
what?
Wait, wasn't there incest?
I don't know. I've only watched the first season.
Listen, I thought I heard about incest, and if it's a lie, but I'm gonna believe it.
We gotta know now. Listen, I will say this. I hate the fact that the only queer shows we get are good queer shows, and there's barely any mediocre queer shows we get that are popular. Why can the straights get popular mediocre shows and queers can't? That's why I believe y'all should listen to our podcast, because we're queer and you should support queer mediocrity. I know I hate Not Like Other Girls show because it's very pick me, but I don't know, this Not Like Other Girls episode worked for me because they're literally vampires and monster hunters. This is definitely a Romeo and Juliet retelling, and I'm interested to see how it ends. I like that Julia seems awkward at first but literally goes for the kiss right away. I will say that I approve of the fact that these characters do look like teenagers. A lot of shows following teens don't actually look like teens.
The theme song was very much giving 2010's internet web series theme song, especially the lines about Jacob and Bella, and I was so here for it. For me, the general vibe of the show was like 2010's web series with a pretty good budget, and I mean that in the most like positive way. Like, Marco, really, it did hurt me deeply in my soul when you said it was like Riverdale, because I mean, come on.
It's better than Riverdale, but it gives me the vibe. It's all about the vibe.
I get that, yeah. It's just, Riverdale hurt me a little bit, but I do agree to an extent. Also, I don't know if you noticed this, but there were like way more goth background characters than I feel like you'd usually see in a high school show. So good for them for showing diversity. The first interaction Calliope and Juliet have is like so homosexual. And okay, question. Has it ever been a thing to make flyers for like a huge student party where obviously there would be illegal activity? Like, has any teen genuinely been like, party at my house, everyone's invited? Because I feel like this just has to be a TV/movie thing.
Yeah, definitely. I forgot they gave out flyers, but now that I think about it, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah. And then also Juliet like telling her parents, hey, I'm gonna go to a party. That just seems so unrealistic to me. Eleanor being Juliet's sister, gave very much Jennifer from Jennifer's Body vibes. I'm fucking with her. When I first watched Calliope and Juliet kiss, that little part where you see Cal like let go of whatever she's hiding behind her, that's when my suspicions about her were confirmed. It was a pretty steamy kiss, and the actors are adults, but like it just kind of feels weird watching it because the characters are minors. And I just think that one of the many issues I have with shows that are set in high school is that, like, if I'm watching something that has steamy scenes in it, I need the characters to be adults, because if they are minors, I just feel like a creep. One thing I liked about this episode is Split. I actually really liked that we got to see the point of view from both the main characters in the same scenes. I thought that was just like, it was really cute, and it's not something I've seen before, and I honestly didn't see how that took away from anything or just made it worse. I think it was actually a really good way to set up each of the characters. I really liked the monsters and fighting scenes with Cal's family. I feel like the first sort of like monster/zombie fight we see, I feel like well made, and then the later ones looked a little rough, but I think it was endearingly rough. As a Black person who for the longest of time saw very minimal representation, there is just something about a network of Black monster hunters that really hits the spot. Overall, I think this was a good first episode to set up the story and the characters.
Okay, episode 2. We start this episode with Cal running away from the police because she literally stabbed someone. We also see Ben finding a dead body of Ashley. We cut to Cal's mom at home when she and Cal's brothers find a shambler, which is some kind of monster. Suddenly, we cut to Juliet waking up and she removes the stake that Cal stabbed her with. She goes back home. We cut to Cal's brothers and mom fighting the monster when we find out the monster is looking for a summoner. Apparently Apollo brought it home. Juliet comes home and her parents think that she got her first kill when she didn't. We cut back to the mom and the brothers and they start having an argument about what happened. A little while after, Cal comes home and tells her mom that she staked a vampire. We learn what really happened the day that Cal failed to kill a monster. The monster disguised itself as her mom and she failed to kill her. It's the next day and Eleanor is at work, and we learn that the victim who died at the party had their liver excised. Whatever that means. I literally don't know what that means. The morgue worker says that he thinks that maybe a monster did this. Well, he didn't say that exactly, but that's what he implied. Eleanor does a mind control trick and convinces him that what happened was an accident. We cut back to Cal and her mom discussing about the vampire that Cal staked. Juliet's dad is worried about the fact that Cal supposedly killed a girl by a head wound. Juliet finds Ben at school and tells her Ashley died from a supposed head wound. She sees Cal. We learn that Eleanor has an ability ability that no one else in the family can use. She has mind control powers. Eleanor gets mad that her father compares her to her twin Oliver. Oh, the brothers meet Mr. Crook and lectures Apollo, I think, about bringing a summoner into the house. We cut to Juliet at a memorial for Ashley. We also cut to Eleanor sucking the blood out of some random guy. Juliet starts crying blood and she runs away. Cal goes after her. Then Cal starts chasing Juliet. They fight. The fight stops when Cal touches Juliet's blood, which is paralyzing. So Cal ends up getting paralyzed for a little while. We cut to Eleanor talking to one of the brothers, and I think it's Apollo. It's the next day, and the principal talks to Cal and Juliet about the fact that they were on the roof because there's no trespassing signs. I believe the principal said that could have been signs of suicide or a shooter incident, and that's why he's mad. Their parents come, and they come up with an excuse saying that Juliet was just upset about Ashley's death, and Cal went in to check up on her. They managed to lie well enough to convince the principal. The parents make plans to have lunch together. Cal goes back home, but when she gets there, we find out Juliet's family are actually legacy vampires, and Cal's mother says that each and every one of them has to die. I don't like the soundtrack for the show. There's too many songs and not enough of a score. CGI is horrible, and I love it because it's so silly. I hate the fact that they're rich. Oh, I think I meant Juliet. Like, it makes sense, but I don't know. It's just not that interesting. It would have been much more interesting if they weren't as rich. I find it funny that Juliet points out that her love interest is lying about staking her. I meant to say Cal. I don't know why I said love interest. She says she would stake Juliet no matter what, but Juliet knows that she's lying. I wonder if the paralyzing blood will come back for another plot point. Also, are vampires like alive to the point of the Garden of Eden? Like, is Adam and Eve a retelling also? Like, I'm so confused about that part.
My theory was that, like, it's sort of a Avatar The Last Airbender situation where, like, they learned their powers from things, you know, how, like, or like how firebenders learned from dragons or whatever. The snake from Adam and Eve created the first vampires. Get it?
Yeah. Also, I don't know how Juliet can fight like that. Was she trained, or is it just her vampire powers? Like, I think it's just her vampire powers, but I don't know. It's kind of dumb how she can just fight without any training. I'm curious to see what the Monster Hunter system works. Like, who's sending them all these letters? Juliet leaves her cell phone behind, which is stupid. What teenager leaves without their cell phone?
Cal is so slay for stabbing Juliet and then just piecing out. Anyone in her position would do that. The Shambler monster was so dirty nasty and, like, not the best CGI, but that only made the monster look grosser. Also, like, how awkward would it be if you just, like, stabbed someone and then saw them again the next day at school and just sort of, like, acted chill? And I didn't mention this in the first episode, but I really liked how they visually showed the pain Juliet is in by, like, the lights turning red and that song, that, like, weird ass song, starting to play. The guy that Theseus and Apollo met up with, I didn't trust him from the beginning. Something about those blue eyes, I knew right from the start he was up to no good. When Juliet is talking to her dad and she's about to confess she didn't kill Smashley, and then he interrupts her, made me so angry. Like, fucking hate when shit like that happens, where someone is trying to explain a pretty fucking, like, something like really important, but it gets shut down and it's just like this huge miscommunication and it turns into this giant thing. Not the type of drama that I like. Now, we need to talk about the scene where Cal follows Juliet into the school during the vigil. Didn't pick this up on the first time watching this. I saw what they did, Marco. Calliope in the center of the screen, wearing orange, with heavy blue colors in the background. Juliet in the center of the screen, wearing blue, with heavy orange colors in the background. One is a monster hunter. One is a monster. I mean, come on. And you know what? If you want to go even further, I didn't want to go there. Marco, one is black, one is white. Anyway, love that. Whatever it's called, cinematically or whatever, loved it. Also, Juliet does run like a white girl in a horror film. And it's so funny to just see her literally running like the first victim of a slasher. Fucking Calliope is a fucking track star going after her. It is so funny. I'm not well versed in vampire lore. I literally have never heard of, like, vampire blood being like a paralytic, but that shit's kind of cool. and it's like a super cool defense mechanism. And that just goes to show that you can take a well-established monster and make it quirky, or like add things that haven't been done before and make it like seem like it works, because everyone knows that fucking vampire blood has powers in it already, so why not add something that hasn't been done before? Probably. I don't know why, but there is something so funny about Margit making a big deal about being in the sun after making plans with Talia. Now, I know I said I hate miscommunications and people being unable to explain miscommunications, and I do, but I love when one character knows someone is lying and implies they know while the other person continues to deny it. The sister interaction was just, I don't know, something, it was so there's just something about making someone squirm because you know their dirty little secret but they're not ready to confess. It's something I enjoy watching.
Episode 3. We start this episode with Cal having a dream about Juliet. After that, we cut to the brothers practicing. Then it's Cal and her ex-girlfriend's turn to practice for killing vampires. Juliet starts to freak out because she needs her pills. She's crying blood now. Then it's time for Juliet to do her fitting for the ceremony because she killed someone and they're celebrating. Ben sees Juliet in her dress and gets mad because he's not invited. Then we cut to Cal back at home where her parents have an argument on whether or not she should be allowed to fight the legacy vampires. Cal's parents say that Cal will finally join the hunt, but she's unsure about her feelings when it comes to Juliet. She tells her ex-girlfriend Tess if she ever feels like they aren't monsters on the inside. Eleanor takes Juliet out for dinner, and we meet Eve, a person Eleanor wants Juliet to bite or drain. Juliet refuses to kill her. We cut back to Cal's place where the rest of the crew finds out that Cal is having second thoughts. They decide to have someone watch Cal, and she won't be going to the hunt. We cut back to Juliet at the party when she's walking down the stairs and suddenly her brother Oliver is there. Her brother walks her down the stairs. The guy who's watching Cal threatens her, so she attacks him and she runs away. When suddenly, while running away, she gets knocked out. Juliet finally comes clean about the fact that she hasn't killed anyone to her mom. We learn that Juliet's mom embarrassed the family because she married a human instead of marrying a guy called Henry Davenport. We learn that Eleanor kidnapped Cal so Juliet can drain her. She's about to do it when suddenly Oliver stops them. Juliet unties Cal, but before they can run, they hear a blaring sound that stops her. And that's the end of the episode. The dream sequence was interesting. I really liked that part of the show, even though I thought it was kind of weird. Do you think the grandma is hot?
No.
Okay.
And that's coming from someone with mommy issues.
Okay. Because apparently a lot of people do.
Well, they're weird.
Yeah. The argument between Julia and her friend is stupid. The old man gave me pedo vibes. Like when he said that shit's cow, I was so uncomfortable. Like he was like, I can just take you and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, the dialogue got real creepy.
Yeah. I think his name was Mr. Crook. Julia's sister is interesting in the sense that she would do anything for power. I have a theory that Oliver is secretly a good guy, but I don't know, he doesn't seem to have a good relationship with Juliet. I don't like the intro song because they say our love is deeper than Edward's and Bella's, and that's like so cringy.
Oh my god.
What?
It's literally so cute. What are you talking about? It's goofy, Marco. They're just being they're goofing and gaffing. They're just having a little fun.
Sure. Okay.
Ben is so valid for being upset at Juliet. Like, literally no one can blame him. Also, Tess is such a snitch. Like fucking damn. Also, retrospectively, it is bullshit that Miss Sarah with an H would be able to tell Cal was bitten because she itched her fucking neck. She literally saw her go, oh, just a little itch. And she was like, that bitch was bitten. Yeah, fucking right. Not to sound a little angry or anything. I felt so smart when Mr. Creepy Blue Eyes from the previous episode ended up being creepy and got a well-deserved nut shot. The first scene we see with the CGI snake in the box was so funny. It looked so goofy. And it like literally the fact that they made a CGI snake, right? And then they're like, okay, great scene. Anyway, bring in the real snake, guys. Also, Cal was so shittily tied up to that tree. How was she even staying upright? That made no sense to me.
Okay, episode 4. This episode starts with the vampires running away. The monster hunters manage to kill almost everyone, but the monsters still manage to come back to life. Juliet saves Cal. We learn that Oliver killed Tess's parents. We cut back to the vampires where we find out that Juliet's father isn't healing fast enough from the damage he took. He got speared right into the stomach and he's not healing. The grandma refuses to heal the father. We cut back to Cal and Juliet where they meet Ben and ask Ben for help, and the Mr. Cook attacks them, and Julia ends up training Mr. Cook. Cal's mom is mad at the Guardian because the weapons the guild gave them to kill the vampires didn't work. We learned that Oliver is in a witch coven, I think. Honestly, I got confused on that part. Like, I think he's in a witch coven. Is that true?
I think he's just married to a witch girl.
Oh, okay.
And like the red string of fate?
Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense, I guess.
So cute. So sapphic. It's so sapphic, and it's so sad that they wasted it on a heterosexual couple.
Ben reacts badly to the truth of Juliet being a vampire, but then he decides to help them. Then Eleanor makes a deal with her grandma to marry one of the Davenport sons in exchange for her father's life. Juliet, Cal, and Ben are hanging the body of Mr. Crook. Then the grandmother heals the father. Cal, Juliet, and Ben are finished hiding the body, and then they are seen by other people, not hiding the body, but just seen in general, and then they have a party. Juliet and Cal have a talk about how Juliet drained a person. They make out. Juliet's dad finds Juliet and Cal and tries to take them to the meetup spot where they're exchanging the people. Her dad misses the turn and realizes there's something wrong about her dad. Oliver runs away. Juliet and Cal run away from Juliet's dad. That's the end of the episode. I think the show would have been much more interesting if the legacy vampires actually died. It would have been so much more dramatic and amazing if they died. It would have really tested their relationship. The scene where Juliet's friend sees her literally murder someone is such an interesting thing. Like, they really are testing friendships. Who was the storm person at the end of the episode? Was that the witch?
Yes, that's his girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
His witchy girlfriend. What, you needed them to kiss or something?
I guess. We see them in the second episode. No, we see them in the first episode after Smashy gets murdered.
Yeah, you see the woman at the party.
Yeah, I wonder what she has to do with that. Like, I'm just really curious about her. The snake going inside the dad's body made me so uncomfortable. Like, it literally went inside his chest.
So I sort of feel like if you're a writer and you're writing a fight scene with vampires, you legally have to write a scene where the vampire hisses and then shows their fangs before attacking. Also, literally the fact that Juliet was so ready to hide that body, like, wasn't even fully confirmed he was completely dead, and she was pulling him into the car. That is how you know you found the one. I don't like heterosexuality, but something about Sebastian dying and feeding off his willing wife was actually pretty romantic. Also, literally, yeah, the snake plunging into Sebastian's stab wound, I agree, was gross. And it made me like, when you see something that sort of makes it feel like there's spiders under your skin? I felt that, but in my chest, and I didn't really appreciate that. There was a sex scene, and honestly, I really wasn't expecting it. Right? They just hit a body, and it was in public. Yes.
Does that even count as a sex scene? Like, all they did was make out.
There was heavy implication. I feel like she put her hand down her pants.
Really?
Isn't that what happened? Am I remembering wrong? I feel like there was an implication that more was going on.
Oh, okay. I don't think so, but if that's what you think, then sure.
Well, still, they're doing sexual things right after they hit a body.
Yeah, that's true.
There was a lot going on in this show, okay? The monsters, the heavy parallels between Romeo and Juliet, with one of the main characters literally being named Juliet, the Adam and Eve shit, the kids in the Burns family, all being named after figures in ancient Greek mythology. Witchcraft. This show truly has everything, and that is why Netflix canceled it. It was too interesting.
This is a very interesting show, and I'm interested to see where it goes for the next 4 episodes. I'm still confused about the witch. I'm guessing we'll find out more in the next 4 episodes. I'm also really interested to see how this ends because there's no season 2, so I'm assuming this ends on a cliffhanger. Like I said before, we should have more like queer mediocre shows, and I genuinely believe that. Like, why not? That's why you should listen to us again.
Okay, yeah, and also, I feel like we're getting there, though. Like, we keep getting canceled. I think that, oh no, what was the trilogy we watched?
Fear Street?
Was, I feel like, a great example of us getting on the railroads of having, actually, no, you know what, actually bringing our roots back, because there were a lot of like campy, mediocre, like homosexual films mostly, but it was there like in the 90s and early 2000s, and it just sort of like sizzled out for a really long time. But I feel like it's making a comeback, and these are a great stepping point. I have no faith that Netflix is going to be the one that makes a really big move to make a really long-lasting show about queer people that's like mediocre, which is interesting because shit like what's it called? Vampire Diaries will go on for fucking years, and that shit's pretty boring.
Anyways, you guys, those are our thoughts on the first 4 episodes of First Kill, and check out the entire month of June because we'll be talking about a bunch of queer shows and movies. We have Bloom Into You, we're doing First Kill, we're doing Saving Face, which is a lesbian film, and then we're also doing one of my comfort shows, Sasuke and Miyano, which I'm afraid Mal won't like.
Let's just be honest for a second. We both know why I'm not gonna like it.
Because there's one?
Yes.
Okay.
But I will watch it for you, and I'll watch it for the culture.
Okay. Well, I watch stuff because you make me too, so it's only fair, you know?
Exactly. It's the least I could do.
Anyways, you guys, thank you for listening to this episode. If you want to send us a voice message on Anchor, there'll be a link in the description below to do so. We also have an Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, which are at MidTakesPod, which will also be in the link description if you want to follow us. And that's everything. So, goodbye.